Beatrice Politi is here now with health news. Now bear with me because the NFL kicks off today. Dallas versus the Giants. So what does all of this have to do with health? Well, a staggering new study shows that those NFL players who suffer concussions over and over again are far more likely to die of Alzheimer's disease or other dementia-related brain disorders at the end of their lives.
Indeed, and today it was announced that there's actually some cold hard cash for research, $30 million from the NFL to boost research. And that's research that keeps building, the latest suggesting the degree of damage when it comes to pro football players can be related to the position they play. It's the season these players wait for, football. They're likely not thinking about it now, but just about every hit, whether to the head or body, could affect their brains later on. The University of Toronto has had a concussion program in place since 1998.
Which includes scheduling them for baseline neuropsychological tests. And when they have that introductory meeting, they have some explanation of what concussions are, what the symptoms might be.
How a concussion affects a player depends on something scientists have called resilience.
We don't really understand why one person may have persisting effects of even a single concussion, and another person may have no effects after many concussions.
For pro players, the hits and the damage can add up. A new study tracked 3,500 former NFL players and found those whose positions involved speed, like quarterbacks, driving backs, and wide receivers, were more likely to end up with concussions.
In the speed positions, the athletes had the opportunity to build up momentum before the impact. And so we would assume that the resulting forces on the brain were more significant.
The players whose positions involve speed were also 3 times more likely to die from a neurodegenerative disease than other players, like offensive or defensive linemen. With evidence mounting, 3,000 players or family members are suing the NFL, alleging the league knew the equipment they provided wasn't sufficient. Even with awareness mounting about the concussion dangers at all levels of sport, many are still afraid to admit they've been hurt.
Athletes don't want to stop playing, so there can be a reluctance to report that they've been injured or that they've sustained a concussion.
One of the issues with concussions as well is that symptoms can be very subtle, so subtle you can't see them on an MRI or a CAT scan, for example.
Okay, so this whole question of baseline testing is very interesting because you can really measure if there are differences.
Exactly, and you want to do that, and a lot of schools and top football schools are doing that now. They're measuring the athletes sort of before pre-sport as you can get, so that then they know how they're going to perform, and then if they've suffered an injury or an injury is suspected, they can look back at those tests and say there's a big difference here. So that's likely because of the concussion.
But if I had a child who wanted to play football, I would be very reluctant to go there.
It's a very adversarial sport, but there are
is.
people who will say, we don't know how many hits it actually takes to cause damage. You can get hurt doing any sport at all.
This is true.
So it's
You're
difficult.
absolutely right.
It's a difficult question.
It is. All right, B, thank you.